Welcome back to the show where we explore leadership, coaching, innovation, and the human side of organizational performance. Today, I'm excited to introduce Jacen Spector, a professional certified coach at Hawthorne Union, working on meaningful leadership, transformation, coaching, education, and organizational development. Jacen, welcome, and tell us a bit about your journey and how brought you into coaching.
So I had a kind of interesting journey into coaching almost about coming up on about 9 years ago. Basically, I was working at a major healthcare company here in the US.
Okay.
And I'd been working there for almost 8, 9 years, and I kind of had started to stall out. I was on the operations side. So, I was in supervision and management, but we were kind of split in a few locations. So I couldn't really get to that next level.
Right.
When I had met who's now my mentor at the time, she was teaching something called leadership development. And I was like, what's that? So I had never been exposed to any sort of leadership development. I didn't even know that was a job. And that's also at the same time when I learned about coaching, it was very hard for me to wrap my head around. I was like, what do you mean? You just talk about leadership? So I learned about coaching and leadership development, organizational development. And I felt so like right at home in that world. I felt I had so much more impact, and I really enjoyed the work so much that I've been doing it ever since. I mean, since I've learned professional coaching, it was like one of the first times in my life where I was like, oh, this is what I want to be doing. And I've been with it ever since.
I see.
That's
That's
correct.
really interesting. Like, thank you for your honesty. So, what's typical day like for you, like as a coach and facilitator at Hawthorne Union?
Yeah, so we're kind of like a small boutique kind of coaching firm. They're
Mhm.
like one of a few people that I partner up with. So my typical day, one, it kind of ebbs and flows, but I'd say in general, usually I'm having at least a couple coaching sessions
Yeah,
from either from Hawthorne Union or one of the other contracts that I service. And on top of that, I'm usually doing some sort of larger like development program, where we're taking a team or a company through either group coaching or a learning and development program or some sort of support during change. And those typically look like, I would say most common is that we're working with the leaders of the operations team. We're also giving some sort of educational content and experience
Mhm.
to the frontline workers or the managers. So it's like training classes, not drip content or videos. And then we're kind of doing some leadership support as well. And then other than that, it's usually kind of either connecting with people or, working on some of our own kind of programs as well. I run a new coach training,
I
which
see.
is a level 1 from the ICF. So that's basically, if you've never gotten through coaching before, this is like the first stop.
All right. Okay, that's really interesting. So, what roles or responsibilities do you carry in Hawthorne Union's coach training programs?
I would
Hmm.
say my primary responsibilities in addition to coaching is
Right.
program design and development, including like sales. And then also I'm in charge a lot for the actual design work. So the content. So not just like slide decks, but kind of like our collateral, our branding, our messaging, building out program design concepts. Sometimes we have like titles and kind of like graphical concepts that go with them. So all the little
I
bits
see.
and pieces is usually what I'm working on.
I see. I really wish to see that such business like being a huge one. Like that's a great work you're doing. So, what's working well for your company right now, like whether in coaching, delivery, training, or client outcomes?
Yeah, so I'd say from a overall business perspective, what's been kind of working well, which is very nerve-wracking, is that we've been largely a referral-based business. So this is like probably in the last couple of months, we've just started to think about like, hey, we really want to get out there and making sure we're doing social media and doing marketing, because most of the time we finish a program, we're like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? And then someone else is like, hey, I don't know if y'all do this, but what about X, Y, and Z? And we end up getting attached to projects like that. So that's kind of like what's very interesting for our business. What's still working well is the age old like word of mouth. So if you're a professional services,
Yeah, I agree.
I I don't know if that works for everyone, but I would say that has been the one thing that has like carried us the whole time, is not niching and word of mouth. In terms of what's working in terms of techniques of coaching and techniques of actual professional development, there's kind of two things that are happening, which is one, with kind of this AI race, which is like everyone's like, oh, robots are coming for your job and stuff, is the reminder that is to bring people back to human connection is
Right.
that no matter what technology we use, even though it's like you'll always get the marketing hype, at the end of the day, AI in whatever form, if it's natural language processing or if it's machine learning, it's a tool. It's a tool to use,
Right.
but the tool should be to help us connect to other people. The second thing is what I'm kind of seeing is that with a lot of volatility in the market, a lot of unsurety, whenever you're investing in leadership that is able to basically take a very good position in terms
Yeah.
of how they are organizing a group of people, whether that's change leadership, change management, whether that's a communication skills, whether that's supporting, learning how to performance management or professionally develop, or just learning how to hold space for others. Those still seem to be the best bang for your buck in terms of, at least in, I would say in the US, the kind of landscape of business is that people are afraid of getting laid off for no reason at any given time. And so if you can have leaders that are able to both like, hey, I recognize that. Let's talk about what we can do, how we can support you. Those are the ones that are most successful over the ones that like can commandeer a 10-page strategy document and so on and so forth. So that's kind of both in our business and what I'm seeing in terms of the work that we do.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, especially regarding AI. Like people nowadays, they don't understand that it's just a tool that we need to, like, it's just a tool that we use. If you have the right skill out there for whatever job you're doing, you will be able to use this AI. Like some people, we would say they make the AI use them. I see
Mhm.
this a lot right now. Like they literally stop thinking about anything. They just let the AI do everything, like all the work, personal and professional level. And that's the sad part about it. If they really know how to use it and they really have the right skill, they will go with it like it's going to help them. It's not going to replace anybody's work. No,
I
no, no,
think
just
there's kind of
go.
two aspects that are playing into that, which is one, as much as we like being independent, it's really nice when someone gives you clear instructions and you know what to
Right.
do. So if you're like, oh man, I gotta write this email, I don't even know where to start. It's nice to kind of essentially turn your brain off and have someone
Yeah.
kind of help you and walk you through. And AI does have the capability to generate stuff. You can just say like, hey, I need an email for this. Now,
Right.
is it very good? I personally don't think it's that great at generating stuff very broadly, but it's there. And number two is that it's so saturated, right? It's like you're hearing about it everywhere that it feels there's this fear of missing out if you do
Right.
not like if I don't learn it. So either people are like, oh no, it's just not my thing. They're going to completely ignore it. Or two people are like, well, I don't want the robots to replace my job, or I don't want to become outdated. So, I better know what this is all about. And I think those two things are kind of pushing for us to look at the tool differently. And because of what it feels like it can do, and it feels like it's sentient, it feels like it knows me, that kind of drives some of that more initial behavior to kind of just let it take the wheel.
Yeah, that's right. It's like for me, it depends. Like we need to know how to use this tool.
Mhm.
That's all about. Like we need to know how to use this tool and to have the right skill, not just to let it drive. You're the one driving. You have this tool to let you success or to let you do better in whatever job you're doing. Like people nowadays, they don't differentiate between them. So, like, where do you see the biggest challenges in helping organizations scale coaching culture?
One, it's a level of set expectations of what coaching is and when it's a good modality. I think that coaching as a kind of a buzzword kind of became hot in the past few years, like how leadership and how you started seeing a trend towards leader talking about their favorite failure and things like that. We gotta get these like sound bites and they kind of saturate through the market and through corporate Z and kind of come back. And coaching culture has kind of taken, I would say, off in the past few years, at least from my vantage point. But the two things is that one, people use coaching and performance management interchangeably. So they say, oh, I got to go coach my employee. They're not necessarily talking about, well, I'm going to create a space where this person's dedicated to their development. They're talking about performance management. They're talking about correcting them. So one, to differentiate that, what is coaching, when is performance management? And two, there's this kind of belief that, oh, well, if I'm coaching them, that takes time and that's soft skills and things like that. Is that yes, it can take a little bit more time up front, but you're essentially investing in people to pay off at a later date. And there's a
That's right.
huge kind of fear in the corporate world that, oh, well, if we don't see an immediate return, we gotta figure something else. We gotta move fast and break things. And I'm seeing that kind of come back, that sense of urgency.
Right.
And coaching is just one of those skills that can't be like rushed. You can fast track it to get started, but
Right.
it takes the time that it takes because people are individuals.
Yeah. Yeah, that's totally right. So just shifting to the measure progress, like how do you measure progress for your clients, like in terms of leadership growth or team impact?
Yeah, when people talk about this, I always hear them say, "Oh, it depends." And that answer really frustrates me. I will say that for specific coaching engagements, one of the kind of biggest things as a coach is we let the client set their preferred metrics.
Okay.
So that changes based on what they're working on. The majority of the time, if they're working on something that is a subjective skill or personal development, it's
Yeah.
an internal metric that we come up with them, such as like, they're like, I want to feel more confident. I want to feel better about my team. Great. And so, okay, so you're not looking for an objective outcome, a tangible thing. You're looking to feel a certain way. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel today? How do you want to feel? And I work with the client to come up with that metric that basically is very personal to them. When you
Right.
start looking at things like team or business function, and we're bringing in these development programs, we're using coaching as an intervention, we're helping the leader, it's very easy to measure some of these surface level things like output and productivity. But in reality, you want to start looking at outcomes, which is, hey, when all this is said and done, your leader has been coached to high heaven. They are firing all in want them to do that they can't do today. Usually traditionally that falls to revenue, but is it revenue by any means, or is there a certain way we want to achieve it? Is there certain businesses? And so part of the work when we get in there is to making sure that we try to define those. The loose and the wider those are, the more harder it is to hit. Even though it seems like, oh, well, I'm going to leave things open, it actually becomes more difficult to get there if it's not clear in the beginning.
Right. Clarity over these things. Absolutely. I totally agree with you. So, like looking for the future, where do you want to take your coaching practice and Hawthorne Union in the next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, I would say there's kind of three major things for me. So in terms of the reason why I created a new coach training program, because there's lots of people that teach it out there. Coaching is a very highly marketable skill. It doesn't take a whole lot to start up. So it's very lucrative to go out there and be like, you could start grabbing $50,000 clients starting day one. Let's go. And that allure to basically say, hey, I don't need a degree and this is something I can start selling without a huge is very attractive. The issue that I see with current coach training is that one, they either teach you all these marketing skills, which are great, but they don't teach you a whole lot of in the actual coaching session, meaning changing behavior and helping people actually transform in a way that they want. Or the other side is that it's all about the good feels and the power of coaching and seeing and helping people become who they are, and does very little to equip you into the market of what it's actually like to, like, hey, if you want to be a solo coach, most of your time is going to be doing sales and marketing. It's not going to be doing coaching as much as you may love coaching, because I love coaching. And in order to acquire new clients, you dedicate a significant amount of time to sales and marketing, unless you just have like a big bucket of money to start throwing out to like Facebook ads or something. And so the reason why I created new coach training is because I've seen like one program that I really like, but other than that, I didn't see it as common that did both. And I have both internal and external coaching experience. So I created that coaching program, which is what I wish I had when I started. So the first thing is to spread this, is to give this more. I don't think coaching is an artistic secret. I really enjoy it. I think that even if you understand how coaching works, it doesn't dilute the power of what you can get from it. So kind of our big thing is to give that to more people, equip it to more. I'd love to basically start organizations, build up internal coaching programs as well.
Just to
Number
spread
two
this
is
thing.
that, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I
What's
was
up?
saying like just to spread this thing, and you were looking for such information, like or for such thing, but you couldn't find. So you're trying to put this in the market right now, as I can see.
Yeah, and honestly, when I started coach training, I didn't really even know what to ask for. It
Hmm.
wasn't until I started to try to get clients outside, I'm like, oh, I love coaching. This is what I want to do. I'm going to start getting outside clients. I started running into issues with pricing. I started running into issues working with friends and family. And then it's like, oh, the money thing is uncomfortable, or my own issues with doing sales. So I didn't even know that I needed that until I was like 2 years in, and I was like completely lost. I had no idea where to start. And I hated sales. I thought sales was very slimy and greasy.
Yeah.
So, but now it's like we learn a way to teach people to work with their preferences, and it doesn't have to be high pressure elbow pad salesman, used car salesman in order to be successful. There's multiple ways to reach clients and to convince people of the value of what you do. So yeah, we try to spread that, and I really have tried to bake that into the class. That really underlines the value of transformation, the power of coaching, but also make sure that doesn't leave you unequipped to go to the market.
Yeah, I see. And actually, if you're delivering the right value out there, you will absolutely find like you might work also on referrals. Like if you just did good with such whatever business or whatever, like you started your coaching session and you really delivered value out there, they're gonna start referring you to other businesses, and your work just gonna continue. It's gonna be much better on spending like lots of money just for ads and just to reach here and reach there, and you're not delivering right value for them.
Yeah, completely true. And the other kind of part of it is that the reason why that's so difficult when you're starting out is because there's not a whole lot of action for you to take, right? When you're
Mhm.
doing marketing, you're like, oh man, I'm posting the socials, I'm doing the Facebook ads. It feels like you're doing something. But referrals, right? It's like you help someone and you just kind of let them go out into the wild. Right. You're like, hey, if you see of anyone. So there are things we can do that you can do to improve referrals, but it's also very scary for someone starting out because you're like, there's no money coming in. I got to go do something. Referrals can be a longer sales cycle because you don't know if they're going to run into someone in a week
Right.
or 3 weeks. You can only help create the conditions where those referrals can pay off.
I see. Yeah, yeah, that's right. What do you think like new needs or trends in leadership development are most excited about right now?
Yeah, I've been seeing a kind of resurgence of one emotional intelligence because that became really super hot and heavy. Like Brene Brown, some of these people they talk about vulnerability or your ability to like Adam Grant talks about thinking again. And we started using those as buzzwords and they started becoming discussion points. I didn't personally see an increase in saturation of people actually using these to leverage. Do you see that it's starting to come back because of now companies are kind of seeing I would say, the fallout from things like where people become a commodity. So they go, hey, yeah, we're on track to make $16 million. We only made 15.1. I have to do some layoffs. And that has an emotional reverberation and a reaction both to how people feel about your company, feel about work, and it turns and ties their performance. So the more that leaders are in tune with the reality that don't have to disparage the company, because most people feel like in order to connect with other people, I'd be like, yeah, this place sucks, doesn't it? Like, can you believe these knuckleheads up here? You don't have to do that. You don't have to disparage a company to like feel like you're on your employee's side. And you don't have to put something down in order to connect with them. And you don't have to stand up for everything blindly in order to show loyalty or to show that fact that you can help execute on a strategic plan when you're a mid-level leader. And now that people are kind of wising up to that, when people are investing in their emotional intelligence to
Yeah.
connect or support other people, it doesn't matter what AI tools are out there or what software we're using, because at some point there's always a person in the chain. If it's not the person buying, it's the person using the product. If it's not the person using the product, it's the person paying for the product. If it's not the person paying for the product, it's the person developing it or putting it out there or talking with customers. There's always a human somewhere in the loop. And the better that leaders can support that, the more effective they're going to be at getting their job done.
Yeah, that's totally right. I do agree with you. What if you do have just one problem to solve out there, or just one core challenge you see for leaders or teams around leadership? What would it be this thing? What would it be this challenge?
Right now, what comes to top of mind is change management. So that discipline has been around for a
Yeah.
long time, right? There's like ProSci, which is the Pepsi Cola, of change management, and there's a lot of stuff. But even still, I'm still finding that even when some of these methodologies are stood up inside organizations, it's just not the first thing that comes to mind. It always feels like something to work around rather than integrate, which is like, we're going to stay on this project. Oh, yeah, the change management. Well, we don't need to do all the steps for that. We'll just kind of do this. It's like they're always trying to like piece it down and piece it down in terms of what's most efficient instead of what's most effective. And I just haven't seen the proof that giving very thin, very light change management has been beneficial. You move faster, but I don't see, I've seen any outcomes that show, oh man, this was such a great, thank goodness we didn't do all that change management stuff in the beginning. That would have been such a waste, right? I think it's appropriate to tailor the amount of effort towards the initiative. But a lot of times when I'm coming into projects, people know what change management is, but there's been very little done, or it's not integrated from day one. It's still an afterthought, which is funny because that's like the case. That's like the case study they teach inside those classes, which is like, hey, like company A acquires company B, and they do all this stuff. And then they start like laying people off. They start changing roles and realizing, oh, we forgot to tell people. And now they want to do change management. What you do, right? Something like that. But that still happens a lot. And I would say that change management for regular people leaders is not a common skill to the people that are the ones that need to understand that the most to help execute these big strategies. So I would say that still seems to be, from anecdotally my experience, still seems to be a great place to invest. And I would love to see that become more of a priority to give people that skill set in 2026.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you for your honesty. Jacen, it has been incredibly insightful having you today. Thank you for your thoughtful perspectives on coaching and leadership. I know listeners will take a lot from this. So thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you, Joseph. Yeah, it was great to be here. Thanks for great questions.
Thank you so much, and see you for the next episode.